Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Rick and Morty, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Delaney Stovall.
Hey, y'all.
I'm Michelle Anderer.
Hello.
Yeah, we're back into Rick and Morty Season 4, the second episode that aired last night on Adult Swim, The Old Man and the Seat. We talk Rick and Morty every week here at the Overly Animated Podcast. Find us at overlyanimated.com. Search for us on your favorite podcast app, Overly Animated Rick and Morty. We have a Rick and Morty specific iTunes feed if you just want a Rick and Morty podcast you can subscribe to, or on YouTube at youtube.com/overlyanimated. Make sure you check out Old Man in the Seat. We had our discussion on the premiere last week as well, if you want to hear our thoughts on the season premiere. Unrelated episodes, so probably won't reference too much, but got another interesting episode of Rick and Morty here. Delaney, what did you think of this one?
So I prepped for the podcast. I took shit right before we started recording. Good stuff, guys.
That's
I'm
good.
not a shy pooper.
Not a shy pooper, okay.
Not a shy pooper, unlike Rick. I really like this episode. So I got a little spoiled. I think I saw Alex, I don't know if it was, I think it was Alex tweeted about
yeah, Alex shouldn't be tweeting then if you're gonna spoil Delaney then.
Yeah, what the hell, Alex? So I saw his tweet about pooping in paradise, and so I was like, okay, and then when he goes
spoilers
to
for the first 2 minutes of the episode.
Yeah, it's fine. But I got really I was like, this sounds great, and I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was really funny, and I just enjoyed it. The app development stuff was stupid, but funny, and then the whole everything Rick does is just great in this episode. It's and the ending, I was like, man, it's great. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, that's good. Michelle, did you like this one?
I liked this one. I think I liked it better on rewatch because initially it's just like, wow, there's a lot here.
There is
but
a
also,
lot.
Yeah, because there's 3 different plots going on. Which I think is honestly okay. I was more touched than I expected to be by Rick and Tony's relationship,
right?
in air quotes.
Oh,
yeah,
quote, unquote.
Especially at the end where he just sits on the toilet and all the stuff he rigged up for him just doesn't matter anymore. And it's just wow, all right, Rick.
He's like, we're not friends.
Yeah, he keeps saying that, and he keeps doing things, and it's just kind of hilarious, but also a little sweet in a way, as sweet as Rick probably can be,
as he's humanly capable.
Yeah, I mean, as he's humanly capable of. So that stuff was really good. I was kind of surprised we got an episode with Jerry and Morty working together and it ending up pretty okay, even though Morty shits on Jerry the whole time.
That's why it's good. That's why it's good.
Yeah, it's on brand. So in general, I really like this episode. I thought it was pretty solid.
Nice, yeah. This also works better for me on rewatch because it's I don't know, it's a lot and there's a lot of pooping at first.
There's a lot of pooping.
There's a lot of pooping.
I should probably go to bed instead of staying up for these on Sunday night. I don't know. It's tempting, but
I watched it this morning.
Me too.
It's probably a better call. I think this is a good episode. I think it's a slight step up from last week. Not necessarily. It's still 2 episodes in. I don't think we've had a home run yet. But I think this episode's very good. The A plot, especially with Rick. I think again, Rick kind of steals the show here. This is IMO, the best part of the episode, and then the ending is really effective. I think the thing that makes this episode stand out, there's a lot of funny stuff here. A lot of interesting gags, but it also has an emotional core to it, which Rick and Morty episodes kind of sometimes do. But this one, I think, effectively tied it into a lot of the out there gags and humor that's going on. Very reminiscent for me of the Unity episode with with Rick. That kind of also has an emotional Rick ending. I think this episode's an improvement on the Unity episode. I think that ending is more it's more of an oomph to it, but this I think works better throughout the episode. The emotional core of the episode is tied in better throughout, and it's also just a better episode. So I really like it in that regard, and I think the B plot is also good. The B plot's better than last week. I think that's the thing that makes it better than last week is that the Morty stuff works better this episode. The weak part of this episode is the C plot with Summer and Beth, which I think wasn't I guess developed enough. I don't know. But
they just don't there's just nothing
yeah. There's a few funny parts and the general concept is funny, but it felt like we're just doing kind of the same thing the whole time.
And then it wasn't even the part where I was like, this is supposed to be funny, like when they were fighting, like, and saying like that wasn't really funny. Like
I was disappointed with the dialogue in
the
that
dialogue
in that
wasn't
scene
bad.
and throughout the C plot. For a show, I don't know. For the first time, I'm like, okay, so Rick and Morty, I think like famously has problems finishing like production on time because they keep iterating on it to try to make it better, and that's why there's like 2 years between seasons. And so now they have 70 more episodes. We were said 100 last week. It's like 100 total, so 70 more on top of what we had. It's like, oh, they're gonna have to move faster in production. With the C plot, I was like, maybe more time writing it, they could improve this a little more. I'm like, okay, we might have more stuff like that, but yeah, I don't know. So some of the dialogue definitely fell flat for me in the C plot, but it was there's still enough good stuff there, and it was a kind of a tertiary element to the episode that it didn't detract too much. And I also,
but I wanted Summer in it, so I was glad that we had like Summer.
Yeah, and I like that there's a Summer and Beth plot. It's just like, let's give them some better material, I think, next time. And then just a very weird stinger to the episode, so we'll get it. I think spoilers for takes. I mean, we could just give the take. I don't think we're gonna get into Jerry right away, but I think this is an amazing Jerry episode. And
okay, I don't even remember the stinger now. I don't even.
Jerry, did you watch Stinger?
The thing in the fridge.
Jerry's dream,
yes,
his heaven is installing water coolers.
And then he starts drinking more of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a Jerry thing to have for heaven.
He is the
oh my
worst.
god.
Oh,
I don't know. I'm starting. It's only 2 episodes, so I won't go crazy with this take. But I think Jerry's one of the best characters on the show now.
What?
At
what? Being Jerry? What kind of a?
Exactly.
That's the problem. He is a fully realized character, and it's like he's not a good person, but neither is Rick, and like. That's why Jerry's such a good character, is because like he's not inconsistent, and like he's funny. Like everything with Jerry is funny because the show shits on him all the time.
I feel like they found their stride with Jerry. Like I think last season they figured out they had to shit on him a lot, but he was like isolated and too much time spent alone on him. This season they're still shitting on him, and like you're getting all the Jerry humor, but he's like interweaved into this other stuff. So I think it's been really successful so far.
And like the real important thing for me is that like he is horrible. And like he's a misogynist, basically. That's kind of like what we're getting at, like especially in the Stinger. And like everything he does, they're like, you suck.
Yeah, you're always laughing at Jerry, so it's great. Okay, so there's our Jerry discussion. I don't know.
That's why, like,
I want to see if
it's not just that we hate him because he's dumb. It's also because the show's like, you're terrible.
Yeah,
that's what I like about.
Definitely. At least he's pathetic, and then also maybe terrible too.
Like in Family Guy, they're mean to Meg, and she doesn't do anything.
Yeah, that's true. In a lot of sitcoms, it's like there's like the character that people are mean to for no reason.
But Jerry deserves it. That's why it's good.
But Jerry validates it. Yeah, in the show.
Like Jerry, like super deserves it, so it's awesome.
I think he's been maybe better so far this season. He hasn't done anything.
Because he hasn't done anything yet.
He hasn't done anything.
I'm sorry. He
develops an app, so he kind of causes the...
His super weird heaven is a little...
Yeah, it's very
stupid. I don't know what sort of intro to a porn he's about, but...
No, I think he's just a simple person who relishing in doing a task correctly and being appreciated for it.
Like he can't do anything.
Exactly.
More deliveries to go.
That's
like, what does she say? She's like, "Oh, now I'll be able to drink water for like
a long time because of you."
He feels important and competent in this heaven.
And he's like, "I'm just doing my job." Yeah. And then, oh my god, the whole like the way he's like on the radio.
Yeah. Okay. We'll come back to that. Let's talk about Rick's pooping adventures here.
So
that should have been the name.
It should. I mean, that's basically the name.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess we're too committed to the movie title shtick at this point, but this doesn't even have Rick or Morty in it. It's just Seat instead of C.
What's wrong with that?
I mean, obviously Rick's the old man. It's perfect.
Yeah, I guess Rick, the old man refers to Rick. Okay, yeah. I don't know, but I've complained about the titles for a while. Also, in like, do you listen to the companion podcast and they have like a code name for the pod? They don't even come up with these titles until later. It's like, why don't we just stick to the other names? So we start with like Rick. The gag is Rick has created a planet or taken over a planet or something in order to have his, in order to be able to poop alone in peace and like this serene alien planet.
So great.
And he has like an underground layer in there and a whole system. And he realizes
He analyzes the poops.
someone pooped there and tracks this person down. And then it turns into like Rick finding some sort of companionship with this random person and then getting upset when they die. And it's actually like it starts with like Rick pooping and turns into like Rick's psyche about maybe being alone or not having maybe like equals like this guy is. So it's I think like the most striking thing is that you take this stupid concept and turn it into one of the more heavy character episodes in recent memory of the show.
You get sad at the end when she's like, he died. And Rick's like, what?
Yeah, he looks actually shook.
And I'm like, okay, this episode's about him pooping.
Yeah, exactly. that's what's kind of brilliant about
this
it.
This is why we like Rick and Morty, because they do these stupid things, but they're like great.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. This A plot is like a good summary of why we love this show. Like there's, despite some people having a negative perception of it or fans being annoying or anything, it's like, this show's really good. And I think this Rick plot here is a good example of that. Also notable, this is the first Rick solo adventure in the show, in the series history. And I think this is an interesting way to go when we're starting to iterate on the concept. Like it's season 4 and we're gonna have a lot of seasons to go. Okay, how about a Rick solo adventure? How about diving into Rick's character more? I kind of like all these ideas, and maybe we get.
Oh my God, Rick's wife.
Yeah, we could get back into that. Why have we not
gotten more of that yet?
I'm sure. I mean, we're gonna fill 70 episodes. We're gonna do everything, right? Like they're gonna have to do that at some point. Delaney, what was your favorite part of the Rick stuff? There's a lot of like zany, like he goes to different planets. And,
there's a lot. Yeah. Oh man. Okay, so I did like. This is hard. Little dumb things I liked was like he's the commander because he has the QR code.
He's the QR code. Yeah,
he's wearing like a pot. So good. And then I mean everything with Tony, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So are you a Tony stan?
I am a Tony stan, and I do want to reiterate. Like, I agree. Like at the end. So at first, when he the trap he left for Tony, I thought he was just going to kill him. Yeah, because he comes out with those big guns. Well, it looks like big guns, and then but when then it kind of turns into what you were talking about, like the ending where Rick tries to kill himself.
Yeah, like in the Unity episode, yeah.
In like Unity, and so it's very reminiscent, and I think it was a really good juxtaposition we did here, especially with it's just Rick being like, yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Nice.
There's just a lot of stuff. It's
we'll go through it all. And Rick has several chances to kill Tony, and then he clearly does not at any point. That's really interesting. Yeah, Michelle, what was your favorite part of all the Rick stuff?
I think also Tony. He definitely grew on me, and he straight up psychoanalyzes Rick. Which at first I was like, "Why is this happening? This is the second time this has happened to Rick." And the voice acting was so good
with him.
Yeah, Jeffrey
the voice acting was really good, and also just the ending, because part of I think what makes it really sad is the things Rick, the holographic Ricks are saying that were meant to be making fun of Tony for pooping alone and being alone forever, just also resonates with Rick and his current life situation too, which is also pretty sad and sobering. So it's just very effective, and I thought it worked really well.
I like the idea of us humanizing Rick more at this point in the show, because
I think it's important. Otherwise, he'd be very frustrating.
Yeah, because I think he's been this at several points in the past. I mean, already the way fans treat Rick has, I think so, kind of metally, in a meta way. If there's fans that are reading the character Rick in the wrong way, like we talked a little bit about last week, then I think you kind of have to react to that, because it affects a lot of people's viewing experiences. And then also just Rick has been particularly cold, I think, at some points, especially last season. And then he gets the family kind of turns the power dynamic around on him. So I think the show is more fun like this. You feel for Rick here, this like genius psychopath who's like absolutely nothing like us. Like it's like, oh, Rick has emotions like we do, and he can be like, I think the Unity episode was one of the more sympathetic looks for him in terms of like he doesn't have everything together, and I mean, I think that's clear, but he needs to be like, it's not like taken down a peg like Jerry is. Like, you don't want to make fun of him, but taken down a peg in terms of not being so cold and up there
like
above
he
us
is
all.
human.
Yeah. Because he's more of a god sometimes in this show, and he's a lot more human in this episode. And I think it's a good idea right now with the show, and if the show's going to be more, because I do think this episode is more of what we got last week, more of like a classic Rick and Morty adventure. We still don't have any plot yet this season. I do think we'll get it eventually, and we don't have any like crazy out there concepts. Like this episode has an A and a B and a C plot. So I think we've kind of gotten 2 standard episodes of the show, with obviously the exception of like this episode having an emotional core for Rick. So if you're going to do more of the like just a lot of these types of episodes, I think it could get tiring if Rick was just an asshole all the time. So I think it's maybe particularly important in this new era of the show. And I don't know, I think Rick's been really good so far. Like, it's only been 2 episodes, but he's like definitely the standout character so far this season, along with Jerry, of course, as discussed.
Well, and I think that's what I like this whole splitting Rick and Morty up, and Rick Morty's being
that's
more
true.
assertive.
We've split Rick and Morty up to 2 weeks in a row.
Oh yeah, that is true. I mean, that's again, it's season 4, so it feels kind of nice that we're finally doing that more.
Morty,
I mean, but they both do things separately. They're still both in the show, so the title stands.
Rick and Morty, separately. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rick, Morty.
Rick
has to
Morty,
be first.
Yeah. This is the new show. This is Rick ampersand Morty, because the real title is Rick and Morty spelled out, even though everyone doesn't do it that way. So I think we're changing it up. Maybe, I don't know, which is more connected, ampersand or and? Whichever it is, whichever isn't is this season. So let's go through all the ways the gags in the Rick plot, and then we can talk more about Tony, I guess, and the ending.
I love when he goes to the restaurant. It's
Yeah. Okay. So he's on the planet. I love the planet. This is like one of the most gorgeous scenes of the show, just the way the planet's designed. And then like he noticed the twig's broken, and he like freaks out, and he does like a Wookiee yell, and he like has this whole, he's analyzing the stick and the stool and the underground layer. And I think like all of this is really cool. And I was listening to the companion podcast. By the way, some people asked, that's on the Adult Swim podcast feed, the companion podcast. Like, interview people on the show, for each episode. And they're talking about how like this is one of the points in the episode where in the script, they're just like, animators do whatever you want. So like they put all how he gets to the layer and how he's analyzing everything. And I think that kind of shows in how nuts it is. So I feel like usually that type of thing is for fight scenes in the show. It's like, go crazy with the fights. And I like a non-fight scene application of like,
like a bit nonsense,
kind of an unscripted, zany visual nonsense going on. So this then leads him, I guess, on a chase throughout space. He goes to the frog restaurant. Michelle, is this Amphibia? Is that what's going on here?
Maybe a version where the flies somehow gain control.
Yeah.
Nightmare version for the frogs.
Yeah. The drug.
The fly owns the restaurant.
The drug lord fly. Rick threatens his kids, 478,000 of his kids. That's half of them.
Yeah, that was good. That was
really good.
This I love. I didn't see the voice. I love the fly's voice, and just him as this drug lord. It's like, really, they get a lot of leverage out of it. There's a million things that are interesting about me, and none of them are a sandwich. Rick says, everything will be whenever I find out who shit in my toilet. Is that code for something? Someone look that up. That's a drug slang. I need to know about it.
Yeah, I thought that was good. I really enjoyed that.
It's like a try hard drug lord fly.
And then it's like Grubhub, because they need to go get the drone.
Yeah, they need to go get the drone. And then they have the robot lizard wars.
So good.
On a spaceship.
And they're like the news is like commenting on it like it's a game. Like they're like, oh, and a surprising twist.
Yeah. So I guess the lizards were enslaving the robots and they rose up. I don't know. That's how it
Who
happened.
knows?
Rick has to get like the memory bank back from the robot that gets shot and everything. Those are two just zany sequences randomly in this episode. And I love the show doing
They're
stuff
good,
like
though.
that.
I
Yeah.
love stuff like this. It's so like, it's just so great.
Rick
And
and Morty can
especially
just do
like
like.
with Rick.
Go ahead.
Well, it's just where Rick's like, I don't care. Like
He's just going
will,
through the motions.
Yeah, he will do whatever it
This is
takes to find out who's shit in his toilet. And like, I love stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
he's just like, whatever.
Yeah, why does he need to do all this?
Well, this is like, I mean, this is very similar to the first episode where he just keeps going and he's like, God, Nazis, and then he kills himself because he's like, I'm done. I don't care.
Yeah. I think like the fascist thing last episode and this episode with I think it's like he goes on journeys throughout different settings, and the show can do like crazy alien settings and get a lot of leverage of different humor in different settings, and I think that's really good if the show continues to just go like these two episodes, even though they have like familiar structures, I guess, and it's traditional Rick and Morty in that way. Like clearly the show's going for it in a lot of ways. Like not a lot of other shows just have random 30-second sequences in these two settings with like, and there's just so many things you need to like put together in that. And I feel like that's one of the best things about where the show is now is that there's just going to be, they can like go nuts production wise sometimes. And I think that's like really cool. Like the whole robot lizard wars, it's so unnecessary that any of that's there.
Like there's so much going on. Like
Yeah.
it's like it's amazing. Like there's a whole
Yeah.
fight sequence.
Yeah. Apparently like a lot of that war stuff they added later in production. That's one of my main takeaways listening to this week's companion podcast episode is like, they just iterate on the script while production is happening. Like I know the show works this way.
How do the animators not hate them?
I know that's the
Lot
thing.
of
I'm
blood
like,
and guts of lizards.
this must be terrible. It's supposed to be terrible to work on, but they're all
Like
very,
you're like, oh my god.
they're all very happy about it on the podcast. Like, yes, but it's like,
They like a challenge.
can they just set the script? Like,
Why you gotta torture people?
this is Dan Harmon's so bad with this, like, and this is why the show has been delayed so long. All his shows, and I don't know. It's why you're like, can they really pull off 70 more episodes if they cannot finish a script? But I don't know. Here we are. So
Like it's been 2 years.
we finally here with this season, maybe. And they're
And
referencing.
we only get like 10 episodes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which I'm not
5
saying
here.
there's anything wrong with having short seasons, but the fact that we waited 2 years for 10 episodes.
It's kind of ridiculous, yeah. But I think 5 might follow more behind. Maybe Adult Swim's plan is to do like 5 in regular intervals rather than see like gaps between seasons or something. I don't know. We can see. They reference season 5 on the podcast. He's like, that's clearly like deep into production
Okay,
as well.
that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Yeah, like that is different because I think season 4 they like was there's maybe some sort of gap between season 3 and anyway. I don't know the details of that, but yeah. What was oh yeah, the just the unnecessariness of all the scenes. Okay, let's Tony. So he's just like who is this person? Because
He's a
just
rando. He
he's
has
just
like
in
an
an
office job.
he's just in an office job. But how do you get to
Yeah.
how do you get to Rick's planet? Like
Who knows?
He stumbled upon it and he knew it a good toilet when he saw one and he had to use it.
how do you stumble upon this? Like
That's a good question.
like that's I don't know. I feel like Tony is like secretly a genius too. He's just not
Yes.
ostentatious
Maybe
about
that's why Rick likes him. Yeah.
it. Yeah, I feel
Well, and he
there's
also
some
like
elements
because
of
when
that.
they're like when he dies, they're like, oh, he decided to live life to its fullest. So I wonder if maybe he'd like done some stuff before.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
yeah,
adventure.
maybe he
Yeah.
was Rick and he settled down, and yeah,
Ooh, yeah.
that'd be interesting. Backstory for Tony. Where's the Tony fanfics?
You gotta
Yes,
get it.
more Tony.
Are we
more-
shipping
more-
Tony and Rick?
Always.
Rick is somewhat canonically pansexual.
He is. I mean, he doesn't. He doesn't really meet a lot of people that don't end up dead. So I guess Tony
Doesn't really
is
get
kind
a,
of
get a chance to express it.
important for a while in that context.
Yeah. There's a connection. It's his friendship, and that's how the episode presented it. But yeah, where do you want to die? And is conference room 3 open? Yeah. And
That was good.
I liked it a lot.
he's like, his wife died, but using the toilet is nice. And then Rick's response is going to an alternate universe to find.
Well, no, it's great when he's like, I'm a shy pooper,
Yeah,
and then they kind of have that moment, and then Rick just ruins
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and then Rick's just too jaded, and he has to question it. So he looks for the receipts in other alternate universes and finds that Tony, his wife, didn't die, and he still used Rick's
Don't
toilet.
use your dead wife as an excuse to
Yeah.
shit in my toilet. That was great.
This is a
Oh,
great
man.
use of the show having alternate realities. I feel like just for the stupid gag, like Rick trying to
Like,
prove
that was
something through it.
incredible.
I really like, and there's another good gag about it later too. But this is, I really
And then
like
Tony
this.
psychoanalyzes him again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And there's like a fart thing he leaves with a middle.
I think
finger.
it's shit. Like, it's shit.
Like a shit
and then
thing.
like,
Yeah,
It's very appropriate for the toilet
It's great.
theme.
it's weird. So Rick is like, he deletes Tony from his planet's archives and is like listening to music and
you're
drinking
leaving
beer.
your poop.
Yeah, and then Tony comes and he gets in like giant
Giant
Voltron Rick.
Rick.
Yeah,
Incredible.
and
Like, this entire, like, interaction, like, Tony doesn't care.
Yeah, Tony's unfazed by
yeah,
this.
that's why he must have gone through like some of the stuff before in
It's
his
so
life. Right?
great.
Like, yeah. Then Tony like talks about everything's going on with Rick. He's like,
And he's pooping while they're talking.
and at some point he just
Yeah.
poops, and Rick's like, "I thought you were a shy pooper. I just poop in front of me." And it's like, so maybe he was making it up the whole time, and this whole shy
It's
pooper
so
thing.
great.
He says Rick needs someone to give him permission to live. Shy pooping is a pointless bid for control. The universe takes what it wants, takes whatever it wants. It took something from Rick. We can spend our life fighting that, or we can choose to be free. And at
Then
a
Rick
certain
sits on him.
and he just sits on him and kills him, with his butt. I don't know what happened really there.
Yeah,
He's still alive.
He's still
just
alive, so they must
Made
have
him
taken in.
unconscious.
Yeah, knocked him out. Tony's like, it's kind of just babble what he's saying, but it also is like meaningful, but it's not like too meaningful. Like it's like
Right, yeah,
somewhat generic, but it does apply to Rick. And
It's
like
great.
clearly, like he's
When you
enough
have
of a
so many
connection.
problems, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it could really say anything kind of deep, and yeah. Then Tony's in and his wife in like toilet heaven.
Poop heaven.
Yeah,
So funny.
started getting into strap-on porn. No, it's hot. Then Tony's like starts strangling himself within the vat, and Rick like breaks him out. I feel like this is one of my highlights of the episode. This part, it's like he had the globofin chemical shows people what they want, but this is like filled with people Rick doesn't want to kill but doesn't want to let into his life. He just like keeps people in simulations, which is like pretty terrible. But also it's like,
I wonder if we'll come back to it.
yeah, like this seems like this is the biggest plot advancement for me. I've like Rick has a whole planet for pooping. Like clearly he could be there. Like he spent a lot of time building that planet. But this to me, this is like important is we didn't really know that there were people that Rick doesn't want to kill. Like that doesn't come up often in the
Right.
show.
Yeah.
So then there's and Tony like instantly understanding that, and he I don't know. In one hand, it's terrible because he's just trapping them there, but he's also giving them their wildest dreams.
I mean,
So
that's
still
it's not their
terrible.
choice.
Yeah.
So
It's the Pokeball argument.
yeah, it's like
like so.
Rick's slightly less terrible than just murdering everyone in the
Yeah,
world,
but he's still terrible.
not like
That's the thing. Rick
yeah,
is still really terrible this episode, but he
Yeah.
comes across much better, right? Like it's
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah.
And he lets Tony go, and Tony's like, you need a friend, and that's a few people say that to him. Rick said he's like setting a trap for Tony, like happily, like, and then
Because that's the rapport now. He's
Yeah.
excited in this
Yeah.
weird friendship he denies exists,
Yeah.
but clearly does.
it's pretty cute. Yeah,
Yeah, it's cute.
Tsundere Rick, like, and he brings the laxative chocolates to his office, but he died. And he crashed into trees
This is
to a
so
tree
funny.
space skiing down Mount Space Everest. She doesn't understand Rick's references, but
Oh
you
my
have
god,
a
then Rick
Space
gets
Everest.
so
yeah.
mad. The concept of Space Everest is just so funny. to
Doesn't
me.
make any sense in the show's
I was surprised
mythology.
Rick
But
wouldn't know where that is. He seems
Yeah,
to
if
know
it's
where
a-
everywhere is in the universe, but not that place.
Space Everest? Like,
it's just,
what?
it was too stupid for Rick to even know.
It's
where,
literally
Maybe that's
so
why, yeah.
dumb. I love it.
He goes to Tony's funeral. He gives here's his dad $8 billion in your local currency and a kit to clone a new son. That's his.
But he's like he'll be like an animal.
He'll be
but like,
janky.
Yeah.
Yeah, he won't be totally normal.
He's like, I found the universe where Tony caused a lot of genocide. So a lot of ways that's looking at this as not much of a loss.
and then the dad just like ruins his life.
It's
so
hard.
great.
It's hard losing a friend. Yeah.
And he's like, he's not my friend. So good.
Rick's clearly spent a lot of time on Tony, looking at alternate universes for
Yeah.
Tony with his wife's life, then looking at alternate universes for one where he caused a lot of genocide. But it's interesting because there's a lot of Tonys out there, but clearly this Tony meant something to Rick. Like, it's not these other
Tony was the
Tonys.
one he connected with.
Yeah. I feel like we haven't seen that. Like, there's the Unity thing where he like had some sort of relationship with this, but so I don't know. I feel like this episode presents a different type of connection for Rick.
I don't know if we've really sat a lot on this. So, like, for example, our original, like, so our Rick and Morty are not on their home planet, like dimension, because they came to a new dimension where they died and buried them in the backyard.
That's true.
And we know we see all these other Rick and Mortys, but like Rick is great. I think there was a gag once where it was like, did Rick get the right Morty? But that's kind of it's something I don't think we've talked about a lot, or like really I don't know if they've settled on it. Other than Rick being an asshole, is Rick and like there's all these Rick and Mortys, but this Rick and Morty, like Rick like quote unquote loves his Morty.
Yeah.
I also feel like we've been through so many Ricks, though. I like don't even know which Rick this is.
This is our Rick. This is our Rick.
Rick.
He's a different body, I think, after that.
He has gone through a lot of bodies.
He's been through a lot of bodies in a lot of seasons.
But this is our Rick.
That's a good point, though, that this is like Rick, like the Morty, this Morty, like versus all the other Mortys. Like, there's other versions of these people out there, but these ones are special. It's probably a recurring theme of the show. Is like, there's a lot of different types of you, but there's like something that makes you unique about specifically who you are. I think it's pretty interesting. And then we end the episode as talked about, Rick going back to sits on the toilet and he's sad, and then it activates his trap that he set for Tony, and
his fairly harmless trap.
Yeah, it's
like
really,
very
that
like it's
really
like
shocked me.
Very like happily mocking him. Yeah.
Like, I think that's really what sells this, is like he's not killing him. Like, it's literally just Rick being an asshole. Like, it's literally just this really funny prank.
Yeah. I mean, and just Rick's just being so sad. And I think a big part is the music during the scene is one of the most prominent musics of the series. Ryan Elder on the Companion podcast talked about this was maybe his favorite score from the entire show. I don't know. I thought this was like really effective for conveying Rick's emotional state. I don't know. Is there any other thoughts on this emotional moment Rick's going through, or what he is in this episode?
It was a good surprise. I feel like the whole evolution of Tony being relevant and things mattering to Rick was like something I didn't expect yet to see this season, but it was a really nice surprise. I'm glad they did it. I hope there's more of that. Yeah,
I would like more of this. I mean, I don't think that the show's going to do it every episode, but I think like it doesn't even need to be a once a season thing. More emotional Rick stuff, I think, is
season 3 had tons of that.
Yeah,
so like I'm hopeful that that'll be a more common theme going forward with the show in general.
Yeah, I agree. On the other hand, we have this Jerry and Morty plotline. Not much emotional here.
Yeah.
We start off with Gluty, the Rick's intern. Yeah. So there's a lot of things.
Are they always eating pancakes? Do they ever eat anything else?
That's true. The Butterbot passed the syrup. By the way, the Butterbot was in the fridge, I think, in this episode, but it's just sitting there. But yeah, that's true. I feel like we have eaten pancakes. Is it every time, or is it a lot?
I think it's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things this episode. It's like, why does this exist? Like, why does Rick have this shitting planet? And why does Rick have an intern in the beginning of the episode? Like, it does not explained ever. His intern Gluty. He wants him to get more syrup at one, so he's like, go photocopy some things, and
it's so funny.
He has a "Do not develop my app" tattoo on his head. Seems like he really wants to develop an app. I think the best part of this plot line is like just the random dialogue about the app stuff.
It's so dumb.
The board of names is one of my highlights of the whole thing, because they're all so bad.
All of Jerry's names. Do you think he picked the best one of the options, Michelle?
Of the options, I also think he did, because the other ones are just so much worse. Like Cupid, or like, that's such a terrible name.
Okay, Michelle's on board relative to the other names with the name of the app. Jerry Summer explained why Rick is what he meant with going on a solo adventure, and she's
He's
like,
a
very
shy
happy to
pooper.
explain
He's like,
it,
fuck you, Summer.
Yeah.
She got him and he's mad about it.
It's so funny, like, because he's out of the room. Like, I love gags like that. When, like, I just love, like, someone's not there and they hear you and they're just like, shut up. Like, I love that gag. It's such a good one.
It's a very generic gag, but yeah. Okay,
Yeah, it's a very
good.
generic thing, but I enjoy these things.
Yeah. Jerry is obviously the one to fall for Glute's developing an app.
Tattooed on his head, Jerry.
Yeah.
Dear God.
Glute, voiced by Tika Waititi, is very funny. As
It's
just
incredible.
very like quiet, even keeled aliens like the whole time.
It's really funny. Or like when they're, I mean, we'll talk about it later, but when they're on the ship and they're like, do you
Yeah.
have a gun? No. Do you have a
Yeah,
gun?
yeah, it's just the nonsense of the, like, I think it kind of gets worse when it ties into the execution of the app and the companionship stuff. I mean, there's still good parts of that, but it's just the generic, like, these aliens that develop an app and, like, aren't armed and stuff.
To steal your water. Like, that's it.
To steal,
We're
yeah.
thirsty.
Yeah. So we cut to launch day, and Jerry and Morty have some pretty amazing dialogue. Rule number 1 of app development, son: never follow the rules, except when that rule is tattooed on an alien's forehead. You're just a disruptophobe.
Yeah,
From
he
Jerry.
calls Rick. He's like, Rick's just a disruptive
Yeah.
phobe. It's like, what the no, you moron.
Of course, Jerry would buy into it instantly. Why did Rick do it? To keep something horrible from happening, something he's too lazy to explain. Yeah.
That's like literally.
It checks
like,
out, honestly.
Yeah.
So
Morty
good.
understands how this works.
Oh my god,
He's been on
something too
adventures
lazy to
before.
explain. I love it.
Yeah, we get the Love Finders with 2 R's and a Z.
It's so
So
okay. The gag
bad.
where everyone shits on the name
Yeah.
is like,
It's really good.
And Jerry's just like, oh wow, like,
and like not Summer. Beth's like, yeah, there's like some dumb app. And it's like, I mean, a really forgettable name. Like it's like really that goes on for like 10 seconds. And it's so.
I
funny.
honestly feel like this is supposed to be an app collaboration, but I'm sure the intern did all the work, and the only thing
Jerry
that
just
Jerry
named it, yeah.
he just named it.
Yeah.
That's his one job, and that's the part everyone hates about it.
Exactly.
Also, like when Jerry started the show, he was like a salesman or like.
Yeah, his whole thing is he was like selling apples, like his advertising.
And he
as an
sucks
advertising.
at this. Like this, I like.
This is like his job. Yeah.
Like, this is his job, and he's so bad at it. Like, because I remember that he did like a pitch.
Yeah.
like-
Yeah. that
Oh,
was
he
it.
did.
He's so bad. Like, I love it. Like, it's so good. And there's that one time it's like the alternate universe where he does really good, and like he goes home to Beth. It's like fake Beth or something.
Yeah, it was like I think it was a simulation.
It was the
episode.
simulation. Yeah.
Yeah. Jerry doesn't have a job right now, right? Like,
Correct.
I'm sure
No,
that's gonna,
he does
I'm sure that's
not.
going to come up. Well, Jerry trying to get a job or something. Okay, Morty comes. He breaks all the computers. And Glute's like, that's not how apps work. Then make it how
We
it
know
works.
something about
Oh, I love
apps.
it.
Yeah.
Like, you think we're stupid?
You
but
think we're
not.
stupid,
We know.
but we know apps have
This is
something to do with servers. Yeah.
The most vague thing he could have said.
So
Oh my god, Morty.
Morty's
Oh, I
really
didn't-
funny in this scene.
No, and then they pick up Glute, and then he starts beeping.
yeah,
Oh, the beeping was really
And
good.
it was an app.
ominous beeping app.
It's just
yeah,
like shuffling, trying to open the window.
Just get-
And
they're
then
just-
Morty just grabs him.
you can't stay mad at a guy with this kind of talent, Dad. You can and you have to.
yeah.
Yeah, they're just really
Morty's
helpless aliens.
So done
who-
with Jerry.
Then they're on the mothership. They're like threatening the other intern. They also doesn't have weapons, and Morty.
He's
"Yeah,
like,
I'm
well,
just-"
if you don't do it, we're gonna punch you. And
yeah,
he's like, okay.
good job, son. Yeah, I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. This is working pretty good so far.
It's so
Um,
funny.
They're the Monogatrons, and
That's like such a dumb name, but I love it. Like,
mastered the science of functioning committed relationships. Someone with a gun is on their way, and evil plan. Who says we do have an evil plan? They trick humans with the love app to take their water, and then the leader's wife comes in.
I
and
love
they're-
this part. It's
Yeah.
She has like her
so
grocery
good.
shopping bag.
And he's like, no, she's like, you're working. He's like, no, you're important. And then
Yeah,
like, it's so good. Like, I love it so
It's like
much.
people that are good at relationships. He just drops everything with the prisoners.
It's
to, yeah.
so funny.
It's a good concept, I think. Yeah, there. And they're like an event, and Jerry wants to high five, and then they fall down. Gluty's assigned to execute them, but Jerry shows that they both don't have matches. He sets them
that's
free.
my
Jerry
favorite.
actually did something right.
He kind of did so. Yeah, he did kind of help there.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
He talked Gluty down.
Yeah. Through loneliness.
Also, like, Jerry,
Lonely is the one thing he has to share. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about my actual number one favorite gag from the episode. But we'll
Is
get
it
there.
Gluty's exit? That's what's next on
No,
that
no,
line? Okay.
it's when Beth finds her match.
Okay, so yeah. Was that ever Gluty leaves like spins? Was it ever his thing? He never exited that way. No, first time. And Morty's like, I'm disgusted, embarrassed to be your son, and you're a loser. No, there's no more.
That's it. That's all I have to say.
Then later, like the leader and his wife are fighting and like unplug the tubes.
Oh, you're thirsty? No, my favorite's like, you're drinking so much water, and he's like, they look cool.
It's just very undeveloped alien
so funny.
species, but they riff on that. I think it's pretty good, yeah. Okay, and then the Summer and Beth stuff, which I like how it connects to the B plot. I think that's like a good structure. Summer matches on the app, Sue Mai Tai.
That was, and then when she explains it, I'm like, shut up.
We meet Danny, and then everyone's matching. There's a part where at the motel and they're yelling assault and rape at each other.
And the guy comes out of the window. He's like, nobody cares.
Yeah, I feel like that line could have been developed more. I like the concept.
Yes.
But I don't know. I feel like them yelling at each other. Like, there's a lot of them yelling at each other. None of it, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wasn't the biggest fan. There's a lot of good stuff in the church scene, where, first of all, okay, here's a prime discussion topic for us. So, this is for us specifically, this is a like concept where everyone just gets like randomly falling in love with other people from the app, and there are a lot of people that get same-sex pairings in this episode.
Yeah, well, there's like when they're in the I guess it's where they were at, like I guess they were at the mall, like there's a side one where the guy like jumps off and then he goes like because he matches with
quit and I'm gay.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was
and then you see him later with the guy on like a jet ski too.
Yeah.
And then in the church, like the priest is with the guy and another guy's with the guy, and then a woman comes for Summer.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. What do we think?
I'm glad they're doing this because like it's just good. Like it's like great to have like these very like they're not subtle, but they're not like the point.
Yeah.
Like I'm glad, like, you know, Rick and Morty, it's not really a show that tries to say things generally, but like this is really good stuff. Like obviously having Rick be like pansexual, like that's great, but you know, it's kind of like in Doctor Who with Jack Harkness, like it's not really representation because like it's one of those things that, oh, it's just this quirky thing about this character. But when you have this kind of stuff where it's just like everybody.
Yeah, and it naturally follows from the plot, and I'm glad that they easily went there, right? Yes. Like it feels like
this was no effort.
Yeah, this is like, of course, like, and just I do think it's like a step up to have Summer match with a woman at the end. I don't know, is Summer bisexual? Was she just following the app, or is she exploring it?
Queer. I mean, one thing I do think was actually pretty funny is like when she gets on the plane with this girl, you can see she's starting to second guess it only because the girl like takes off her shoes and her socks, which is such a gross thing people do on planes. And I was like, Summer, I feel you. Like maybe that app's wrong. Maybe this isn't true love.
Yeah, after all
of oh my god.
I know.
So after all of Summer's pairings, there's like a quick moment of some behavior that she finds, like the Tony is like snoring, or Danny or something is like snoring or something.
Yeah,
and I did really enjoy when like the guy's like, I'm gay and I quit. Like that was good.
That was good. Yeah, I think the show has with this episode, and again the Unity episode, has done queer stuff when it's followed with the plot, and at least it's doing that and not like repressing it.
Yes.
But it's also not doing anything specifically. Like it's always following. It's not actively doing any queer rap. And it's like Rick, you know, like it's like, oh, Rick's pansexual, but like the show hasn't talked about that really. There's not an episode when it was like implied. So it'd be nice if the show did something active. Obviously this isn't a show where there's a lot of romance though. So I don't know what the situations it would happen in are. But I don't know. That was all really notable. And then Beth is like, they're like, the woman came in on like a hot air balloon, and then Beth is like hang gliding
Yes.
into the
Beth.
crashes into the barn. What are you doing? Parenting. That's not how I did it. Yeah, where's your daughter? You're right. She joined ISIS.
And there's like this long pause before
Yeah.
they get that
It was
line.
so
and it's
good.
just like, oh my god.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay.
It's really funny just because of the delivery.
Yeah, it was a really good delivery. I thought that was one of the most laugh out loud lines of the episode.
Yeah, she joined
ISIS.
He's like this farmer guy with this southern accent.
Yeah.
Just like, she joined ISIS.
Yeah, and then they're like fighting and stuff, like a golf club and a broom. And then I like the conclusion. They put a paywall ad wall
That
up
was
on the
good.
app.
Everyone
and then
immediately
everyone's like
deletes.
deletes it. Yeah,
Yeah, immediately. Someone's
Yeah.
like, oh, and I was like, this is, me when I have an app. Good
yeah,
stuff.
it's pretty good. And then at the end, Beth and Jerry like, we didn't use the app, and of course they both did. And Beth had matched with Ted Danson.
This is my favorite. It's so funny that you had. It's so good.
Come on, Beth. Why aren't you going for
Why
Ted
you
Danson?
can have Ted Danson? Why are you with Jerry?
I think she wants to wear the pants, and I don't know if she could with him, but she sure can with Jerry, so maybe that's why.
Yeah,
She wants to be the
Dynamic.
alpha.
She's wearing the whole outfit. Like, it's not even.
She's wearing the whole outfit. Jerry's is clothless in this hierarchy of the family.
Okay. Yeah, maybe that's why. But that was a good gag too. And then we talked about the stinger with the Jerry finding the chemical and his fantasies installing water coolers. He's like desperately lapping at it after he wakes up.
Also, he's such. I do like these. Jerry is so dumb. He's always looking for food.
He just drinks
Yeah, I feel like
it
we've seen that
with no
before. You just-
wondering of what it is.
Really, you haven't learned by now living with Rick? Yeah.
It's kind of amazing he's still alive, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Rick would bring him back to life or to find the alternate Jerry or something.
That's
Is
true.
anyone?
Maybe
Can
he's
anyone
not-
really die on this show? Right? Like
I
Rick
don't
can't
think so.
die.
Not
I mean, they
People
played it up
can
a little bit in the first episode where they were like,
Yeah.
Rick died, but then it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot of funny stuff there that we went over. I don't know. Do you guys like it more than last week's episode?
For me, it's like, I mean, I thought it was. I think overall it's funnier just because, like, so it's not like they did anything like awesome with the Rick and Jerry plot, but it is funny. Like, there's a lot of funny lines in there, and I think that makes it better than, because it's the first episode, really the only thing they had super great going for it was the Rick plot. So I think, like, just like if we're going like sum of parts, then I think this episode's better than the first one. But like for me, we're kind of just at a like, these are. I'm somewhere between good and great Rick and Morty episodes, because the problem with Rick and Morty is like its baseline is like great, but it's not awesome. Like, these aren't incredible episodes.
Yeah. I agree. These are like very good episodes, but it's not the show's best.
Like,
for
you know, of television, these are great episodes. Like, these are like, you know, Rick and Morty is one of the most consistent shows that we cover.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's one of those things we don't really like have to like worry about with the show's quality. But, you know, this isn't like an amazing episode of Rick and Morty.
Yeah. Would you agree with that, Michelle?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the highest highs we got last season, so that's always going to come to mind as a new bar of comparison. I do like it more than the first one, just because it felt. I agree with Lane that like there were more jokes consistently and more good jokes, and plus just having like a little more emotional depth always helps for me in terms of actual investment in characters, and we got that. For sure this time.
They do it well.
Yeah, and it's like you never know when that's gonna happen, because that's not always the goal of this show, it seems. So it's always like kind of a nice surprise, and this was a nice surprise in that respect too.
Yeah, and I agree. It's like similar quality to last week. I think looking back, it's more memorable, I guess, because of the Rick emotional stuff this episode.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd take that, and I do think there's maybe more overall funny stuff if you look at like go through it like we just did. But I am like I'm happy enough with the first two episodes, but I'm looking for more, I think, with the show.
Yeah.
Part of me wonders
especially after 2 years.
Well, that's the
That's
thing.
true.
Like, they're guaranteed so much now. Maybe they don't feel the need to have to prove themselves like you used to when you never had anything for sure. Now they have so much for sure. It's kind of like, well, what do we just like want to do for fun? Maybe. I don't know how ambitious they want to be right off the bat if they don't have to worry about getting renewed anymore. And again, like, that's one of the things I wonder about. Like, how is the structure of the show going to change now that they have so much in bulk they can do? I don't know, like, I'd like to think there'd still be really standout, strong episodes, but maybe they don't feel inclined to like get there super fast. Maybe they just want to take their time.
Yeah, I think they're still being ambitious in production aspects and certain small aspects we've seen in these 2 episodes. I do think we'll get more ambitious overall, like episode structures or narratively. Yeah. On the there's one line on the companion podcast. It's like not another like non-plot episode. It's episode 2. It kind of implies there's going to be more stuff later. So I would
That's
say
what I hope. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like later in the season we're going to get to Evil Morty. I'm not sure what else, but I think the season probably has to prop up its own kind of new plot, something.
I can't wait. I cannot wait till we see like Beth in space, real Beth. It's got.
Yeah, I think they'll come back to that. I wouldn't be surprised if they like. I feel like Maximum Effect is like 5 years from now. Real Beth comes back, right? Like if they hold on to that for a while.
Oh man,
we just keep.
We're
gonna keep talking about it until they do it. So they could just. They're at a point where they set it up. They could just stay where we are with her. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, that's the kind of the second most likely thing to get into. I feel like last episode we're like, are they hinting at Bird Person coming back? I don't know if I saw anything. There's a lot of
I don't know. There weren't any.
Beth was hang gliding.
Yeah. That I don't know if that means anything. Oh my god.
I'm Bird Person conspiracy, Phoenix Person conspiracy theory that we're ramping up and Tammy to come back. I think that's the key. Really, there's nothing else to latch on to plot-wise. But yeah, no, I think stuff is coming. So our preview from next week was very weird. So I don't know what we'll see.
What is the episode called?
It doesn't matter, right? Like
what? Yeah, it does.
They're just nonsense names.
Do you remember it?
I can find it. It's called One Crew Over the Crew Co's Morty.
Okay, I see what you mean now.
They're just it's nonsense.
That doesn't give me anything.
I don't know what crew
okay.
is. I mean, they're assembling a crew in the preview, so but then Rick's just like that was it. I don't know. Also with the previews, I was scarred from the Rick Lantis mix-up where they like showed up intentionally misleading previews and they changed the name of the episode. So I think anything could happen any week. Okay. Any other final thoughts? We kind of got our thoughts on the. Kind of served as final thoughts talking about this verse episode 1. Yeah, I think that was good. We're enjoying the season enough so far, and
I'm really glad that the show's back.
Yeah, definitely. It's it's nice that it's airing weekly and that
not a bomb.
Into the episodes more. I think the show might play worse together because
I think so too.
Like, we dig into the little things here, and we wouldn't do that as much if they all just kind of aired together. Like, in these episodes, if you don't kind of dig into them, maybe they don't stand out as much.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think it's good. It's good the way Adult Swim handles the show. So let us know what you thought of The Old Man and the Seat. Leave
I think
comments.
This is a really clever title, in disagreement with Dylan.
I mean, it's clever, but it's like, why?
What was the original title?
This whole
they didn't mention
why.
last week. They mentioned Crystal as the original title. I don't think they mentioned this week's like code name. Something with toilet. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they had this one right away. Like this was. It is one of the more coherent namings. Overlyanimated.com, YouTube comments, youtube.com/overlyanimated. You can join us on our Discord to talk about Rick and Morty, overlyanimated.com/Discord. If you enjoyed this, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to all our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Michael, aka Mickey, and thanks as always to our patron executive producers, Ryan, Steve, Alex, Beatrice, Hugh, Michael, and Needle. Other podcasts, we just wrapped up our BoJack Season 6 Part 1 podcast. I think that's relevant to Rick and Morty people. So check out all of our coverage of BoJack Season 6. That show is about to end, and we're very excited for part 2 of the season to come back. Yeah, look at this. Rick and Morty and BoJack airing right now. What a world we're in. Both shows in. And Steven Universes will be back eventually, you know. Just savor it while it lasts. Only Rick and Morty will survive of these great
true.
shows. And
man.
Ruby and maybe Miraculous Ladybug. That's all that will survive.
That's it.
Well, yeah, so that's it. Thanks for listening, guys. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.